Hello and welcome back to Two Banks of Four podcast. This week it's going to be episode 4. We've had an eventful week in terms of football. We're going to be touching on various topics, including Man United and their massive plight and form that we've seen at the start of this season. Along this, we're going to be talking about Spurs, their plight and form as well, and the fact that they got knocked out by League 2 Colchester in the Carabao Cup this week.
Don't need to mention that they're League 2. Just say Colchester.
Just thought I'd throw that in there. We're going to be talking about a topic that's kind of close to us in the sense it's Worcester City Football Club and their campaign of #BringCityHome. It's one that's been launched in regards to their football ground and the fact that they want to bring it back to their home city and play football within their own city. And then we're going to be talking about the Cup, League Cup, FA Cup, and what can be done to rejuvenate the love for the Cup, really, as it's something that has fallen away in recent times. But before we start, we're just going to talk about a topic that is very close to the city of Worcester right now, where we're from. It's the story about the poor lad from Pitmaston Primary School, Oscar Saxelby Lee. Oscar was diagnosed with cancer and he needs a stem cell treatment to kind of recover and get better from it. He had one and loads of people went and got swab tested to try and find a match, and unfortunately it hasn't all gone the way that we would have liked to, and it's not worked. So the family need 500k to raise enough money to send Oscar to Singapore. I think it is, I'm fairly sure it's Singapore, in order to have another go at the stem cell operation. And obviously we all really hope that the best result outcome is. So anything could help, guys. Literally £1, 50p, anything that you can put in a pot to put towards this £500,000 goal would just be incredible. So we're going to leave links on the description. I'm going to put a link on the screen right now as well. So if you've got any money to give, then that'll be absolutely great. I know people in schools all over Worcester are trying to do their thing in order to, get the money that the Saxelby Lee family need. So yeah, there's that, guys. But anyway, in regards to football, the first thing we're going to be talking about this week is Spurs. So as we know, Spurs are one of those teams that their potential always seems to be there, and especially after they got to a Champions League final last year, lots of people thought this is the point where if Spurs spend a little money in the transfer market, they could push it one further and get a trophy. But it's something that we're not seeing in this early part, with a loss to Newcastle, to sum them up really, a loss to Leicester the other day, and now, out of absolutely nowhere, Colchester United beat them and knock them out of the Carabao Cup on penalties. So, Tommy, take it away.
The questions really ain't falling with Levy anymore, because previously when Pochettino has been under fire, it's all been diverted towards Daniel Levy because he hasn't really been giving Pochettino the money that he needs to spend on the squad. But now Pochettino actually he has gone out in the summer, he has bought a few players for big money, and we're still not delivering results really. So I'm just going to go through like a few points for why people are Poch in and why people are Poch out. Before writing this, after the last game, I was Poch out, but after writing this, I feel as though Pochettino, I'm sort of more stick with him in that. Anyway, I'm just going to go through a few points. So the reasons that he needs to stay is it could start a chain reaction of the players leaving, because obviously most of the players absolutely adore Pochettino and why they've stuck with him for so long. If he goes and we get a brand new manager and they don't like him, it could be the end of Ali, it could be the end of Kane, could be the end of Alderweireld. All these key players towards the Pochettino era and that could be gone. So that is a big risk. We're also a young squad who haven't really hit our prime yet. We've Ndombele was what was he, 70 million, was he?
It was a lot of money.
22, Lo Celso 23, Kane seems like he's been around forever. He's still only 26, still not reached his prime yet. Ali's 23, Winks is 23, Dyer's 25. These are all pretty much regular starters or soon to be regular starters with Lo Celso and that. So once, the squad's still got a lot of potential and they've still got a lot of learning to do. He's also not really had a fully fit squad to choose from as of yet, with Ali being out injured and Ndombele being out injured. Sessegnon still not come back to the squad yet, and Lo Celso not really being match fit. So, managers can't really do anything about injuries, so you can't really blame them for picking a team that they're forced to pick. Um, Also, he's a great man manager, and players do want to come and play for him.
Yeah, it's quite common knowledge that Pochettino is a good man manager, and the players always do seem to respect him and talk highly of him. To be fair.
So loads of players would love to come and work under Pochettino. If we get a new manager, maybe we might not attract those players, or on the flip side, maybe we will. So yeah, he does attract.
That's better.
He does attract players basically. Also, every team does go through this patch of form. We've seen it happen so often. We've seen Arsenal have gone through it so many times. United, that we will be talking about. Chelsea, even Man City at one point last season did go through a patch of form where they lost 2 games. For some reason, people were complaining that Man City lost 2 games. Even Liverpool have gone through this sort of form. So it's common. Every team has it. Spurs might just be getting it out the way early, and we are traditionally slow starters in the Premier League. We never really seem to hit the ground running. He's also got the freedom now that we have actually got the money to go out and sign whoever he wants. So why don't we actually give him a chance to let him?
And you'd like to think, as Champions League finalists only this previous season, you'd like to think that the money's there, and we know the money's there, but the attraction as well that may not have been there before.
Yeah. So he has actually got a squad that he is happy with now, so why don't we actually give him a chance to use it? And finally, probably the biggest one for me, concluding all of this, is the risks do outweigh the rewards if he stays compared to if he goes. I think if he does leave, we are taking a massive risk in the future of this club. However, there are a lot of reasons why people want Pochettino out. He's probably fulfilled his potential at Spurs. He's taken them as far as he can.
You really think he's taken his potential as far as it can go?
I think so. Managers have certain levels, don't they? And you can't keep comparing us to where we were when he took over, because that's looking backwards. That's looking in the past. To be fair, he couldn't really done much worse when he took over. So I just think he's fulfilled his potential now as Spurs manager, and I think we need someone else to take us to the next level.
Your Spurs board right now, who you looking at? Who you replacing Pochettino with realistically?
There are other managers out there to take us to the next level. I think Mourinho would come over.
Honestly, you really think Mourinho will come into Spurs?
I think it's a really attractive squad, isn't it?
It's an attractive prospect. If you're a manager, I was thinking more Carlo Ancelotti, someone like that.
Yeah, I've got Ancelotti, Massimo Allegri. These are all serial winners who know how to win things. And really, you can't say that Pochettino at the moment knows how to win things and he's not a serial winner. It's an attractive squad, so really, there are very few managers that wouldn't want to come to Spurs.
In your opinion, could it be, with the troubles at Real Madrid, which you've seen earlier in the season, we know that Real Madrid, especially to someone who's Argentine, speaks Spanish, could be a very attractive prospect. We've heard the rumours of links between Pochettino, Madrid, Barcelona before. Do you think that it could be a kind of perfect timing thing if Madrid were to get rid of Zidane at the end of the season and Pochettino was to move on with good hope in his heart, I guess, not on any bad terms?
I think that if he was going to go, I think that he should have gone after the final when Madrid didn't have a manager. He clearly is happy at Spurs. Well, say that he's happy at Spurs, I'll get onto that. He was content at Spurs, and obviously, if he wanted to go to Madrid, he would have gone, because Madrid would have happily taken him. He didn't. He decided to carry on. So I guess now is not the ideal time. Still, is it to go over? Because if he leaves right this second, people are just going to be talking about, Spurs were on a downward spiral and that under him, and he had to jump ship. Before it was too late.
Sometimes I often think with Pochettino that because the media seem to really like him as an individual, it might smoke screen, I guess, the negatives that you see.
Yeah, he does play off as a very sort of like relaxed manager and that, doesn't he? This is very, very similar to the Brendan Rodgers-Jurgen Klopp situation at Liverpool, where Brendan Rodgers took over his first season. Yeah, Liverpool were like bang average. Next season was that famous Gerrard slip season. where basically they proper gave Man City a run for their money. Their squad fulfilled their potential as Spurs did. They reached higher than they could have done. They still didn't get any success. And the next season, Brendan Rodgers didn't do that well. October, I think it was, they sacked him and replaced him with Jurgen Klopp. No, it's season after, wasn't it? They gave him another season. So basically, it's really similar to what's happening at Spurs, where Pochettino, he's got us to as far as we can go. We still haven't had any success. The Liverpool board went out and got a manager that could take them to the next level. And look where they are now. They've just won the Champions League. They had their perfect record in the Premier League. They haven't lost a game yet.
Well, it's clear that Klopp was the right man for the job, and I mean, I just struggle to see that you list the managers that could potentially come into Spurs. Other than Mourinho, how do you know any of them are going to come in and be serial winners? I mean, Ancelotti. It was a while ago, though.
Okay, he knows the Premier League.
It was a while ago.
I know it was a while ago, but he knows the Premier League. He can attract good players. It's almost like he is very similar to Pochettino, except the fact that he actually knows he's serial winner. He knows how to go out and win trophies and do well in the league. And this isn't solely on the fact that that's another trophy that we can't win this season. I'm not overly bothered about winning trophies, to be honest. I know this is like coming from a Spurs fan. Oh yeah, he doesn't care about winning trophies. Yeah, everyone wants to win a trophy, but I think a club the size of Spurs, what we should be looking at is just maintaining us in the Champions League, maintain us being in Champions League, which is nothing really. Pochettino, if ever he's going to get top four, it's going to be this season, with the uncertainty around Arsenal, uncertainty around United, and the uncertainty around Chelsea. Really, that third spot is probably the easiest third spot that you're ever going to get in the Premier League.
I mean, Spurs are by far the most established team out of all of those you just listed. So
yeah, so really, he's got no excuse if he doesn't get that third place because of the sort of calamity at the moment that that them clubs are under. Not really Chelsea.
Do you think? Well, you still talk about trophies. Do you think that the fact that you got knocked out the Carabao Cup this week is like, because it's a trophy that Spurs could have easily gone on and won?
Yeah.
Is that a nail in the coffin for Pochettino? If you'd have gone and won that game comfortably, which you could have easily done, does everybody look at the league form and think, oh, it's just a patch? But the fact that you'd be knocked out a cup trophy, and there's so much stick around Spurs not winning anything, do you reckon they play hand in hand?
I think that our squad is good enough now that we don't have to concentrate solely on the Premier League. We can actually focus our attentions on actually going out and winning a trophy, because we will still be top four, even if we are not focused on the Premier League. I think I just think that Pochettino, he's really got no excuses for that loss to Colchester. I think the team that he put out should have beaten them. You can look at the players and say, well, yeah, the players are better than Colchester's. But that's another thing with Pochettino. Yeah, the players are good, but the tactics are questionable. I think that teams have worked out how to play us now. He is really stubborn as a manager, and he doesn't adapt to the opposition style. He's sort of like a my way or the highway manager. You saw that with Newcastle. You knew what Newcastle were going to do, and we didn't adapt to it. You could see what Arsenal and Liverpool, we failed so many times against Liverpool, and you could see what they're going to do, and he doesn't adapt to it. He still plays the exact same way. He doesn't see he doesn't manage a game very well, I don't think. He's got no sense of game management, where it's substitutions, a change of tactics. It's why Spurs are known as Spursy, in it, because we've been ahead in so many games, and instead of sort of sitting back, you could see that the momentum's on the other side, and he doesn't really change it. He just sort of, it's really clear to see that the other team is going to score a goal imminently if we don't do anything, and he just sits there and just doesn't do anything. I think also the other thing, was it yesterday? Oh yeah. The players, there was an accusation, wasn't there, of the players complaining about it's the same old training sessions, the same old messages. Whether this is true or not, we don't know. But you can believe it, can't you?
You can.
I mean,
especially when you look at the stubbornness of his tactics.
Yeah.
There's no reason to say that's not going to be similar with his training sessions. And if you're a professional going into the same club every single day, other than what you maybe Saturday because it's game day, Sunday and Monday,
you get bored.
You'd get bored, and
he's been here. He's been here since 2014-15. So you can kind of assume now that the players are starting to slightly get a little bit bored of like just the same old everything. Also, final reason why he should go is he has been complaining lately as well, hasn't he? Last year he was complaining. We never saw it in the first 3 or 4 years from Pochettino, where he would always deflect everything and say that everything was great and fine and dandy at Spurs. Now he's sort of started to, just sort of complain just a little bit about, oh yeah, we're not getting the transfers or the players aren't really, Levy's this, Levy's that. We haven't really seen that before from him, so it could be him unrest from Pochettino as well as the players.
So, moving on from that, we're going to be talking about United. And I've made some notes here because there's so much you could say about United. There's so many what-ifs. And it's just one of those situations that, let's be honest, ever since Sir Alex Ferguson left, it was going to be, those first few years were going to be hard for United because they were so used to one face almost. But nobody thought it was going to be this hard.
No.
Let's be honest.
Not 6 years after he'd left.
You've got United who, I look at United now and I think, you know what, they could struggle to make that top 6. I look at Leicester, man for man, and I think Leicester are better.
Yeah,
genuinely.
A lot of people have said that.
I think Leicester are a better footballing side than Man United right now.
Especially with United playing Europa League as well.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? It's actually unbelievable. So, either way, it was, first thing I'm going to touch on right away was their transfer business. So they brought in Daniel James.
Can I just say before you start, can we just go back to when Ferguson left, the aftermath of that? He said that David Moyes needs time, didn't he? He literally...
Would you have given David Moyes time?
Yeah. Ferguson literally said he needs time. He guaranteed that it wasn't going to be easy to start with. And the United fans were like, yeah, we'll give him time, whatever. And they were just so impatient. They almost demanded top 4 straight away from David Moyes, and it wasn't going to be like that at all. It's a brand new manager. He's never been at a club bigger than Man United. I feel like the fans really were to blame for that disastrous start, really. And I
also kind of feel that with David Moyes, he knew what he was getting himself into by going to a club the size of United. Let's not forget, Ferguson, this first few years, it's quite common knowledge that he struggled as well.
Yeah.
It's quite common knowledge. Like, nobody looks at Ferguson, right, you started off winning straight away. He built a project over time, and then the hardest parts of Ferguson's career was when he had to kill off his old team and rebuild a new one. Let's be honest. So I'm talking about the class of '92 merged into the Rooney-Ronaldo era.
Yeah,
and when Arsenal started playing very well and Wenger came over to England, those were the kind of periods that Ferguson struggled with United, but then eventually prevailed. Every manager struggles, but they were a similar kind of manager because they both built projects. Moyes at Everton.
Moyes never got the chance to
Moyes at Everton got top 4 in 2005-06. You know what I mean? He was building a project there, and every year they were consistent. He was doing. He would have given time. I really, really think he would have done the same at United on a higher budget.
Yeah.
I genuinely do. But anyway, we're talking now in the present, and I'm looking at the one mistake I think they made, and that was selling Romelu Lukaku. And this is going to split a few opinions, especially of United fans. But the reason I think it was a mistake to sell Lukaku is because, surely, to God, if so Solskjaer and Woodward have had a conversation, surely, and Solskjaer must have said, "I want Lukaku sold. He doesn't want to be here. He's not my kind of player." Or Woodward said to Solskjaer, "We're selling him to get finances," which I don't think is the case. I think it's going to be more Solskjaer selling Woodward to get rid of him.
Yeah.
Whether that's because he was a bad influence in training pitch, we don't know.
Potentially, yeah.
Either way, if you're Solskjaer, you know Lukaku's one of your best goal threats. Even if he's bang out of form, he's still got a goal in him.
Yeah. I think that the problem goes further back than that.
Yeah, no. But the thing is, right, with Lukaku, if Solskjaer has said to Woodward, "I want him gone," you've got to, if you're Solskjaer, you need Woodward to turn around to you and say, fine, we're going to give you a 70 mil striker to replace him then. But that hasn't happened.
No.
And now he's been left with Rashford and Martial.
Tony Martial, yeah.
Rashford, who, I mean, loads of opinions on Rashford.
Remember nines. That's the thing.
I would rather
them are strikers that are going to get you 20 goals.
Genuinely, right? I would love to see both of them on a wing each with a striker who can put the ball in the back of the net, and that's what they kind of tried with Lukaku, I guess. But I think one of the worst things for Lukaku was Sanchez coming in. I genuinely do. I don't think they had any link at all. And I know Sanchez has gone to Inter Milan. It's just like, really? I mean, for all we know, he'll find his form over there. But I think the way they could have set up with those three up front, if they'd had a good management and a stable midfield behind them, who knows what that could have done, that attack. It was a force to be reckoned with, don't you think?
I think that the problem, I'll go back to that Lukaku thing. The problem was, I wouldn't have got rid of Moyes, I wouldn't have got rid of Van Gaal, and I wouldn't have got rid of Mourinho.
I definitely wouldn't have got rid of Mourinho.
No, that
100%.
was so
that was the board's fault.
That also the fans, or the United fans, you can't not take any blame for this because your fan base is so split. You know, you're so impatient, you're so used to success that even like a hint of failure, you're just like get rid of the manager already. So I don't think that, first of all, Solskjaer was the right manager to come in. I think that the board reacted too quickly. He came in as a temporary manager, fine. Did really
I'm going to be honest, because I hate, even though I'm not a United fan, and because we've been watching English football for years, we're used to seeing United win, I can't help but hate looking at any club from the outside and seeing it be badly run. Right? I think because I've experienced it with Randy Lerner, Aston Villa. I know how shit it is. I'm not saying United haven't got the finances being put in, because that was a completely different situation. But I'm talking Ed Woodward. I feel bad for him because I felt like his hand was almost kind of played with Solskjaer because of how well they did, and especially that night in Paris.
Yeah,
right.
he was never ever going to be the right permanent manager to take United.
But he had no choice. He had no choice.
He reacted off what the fans wanted. He probably knew himself that it wasn't the right call, but
I always think he would have gone for Pochettino.
Yeah,
genuinely.
If he hadn't have got in Solskjaer, and he would have got in someone else, and United were failing, they would have turned around to Woodward and said, why didn't you get Solskjaer in? And so really, Ed Woodward covered his own ass there by bringing Solskjaer in, even though he probably knew it wasn't the right manager.
Another thing with Solskjaer this season, because I'm talking about United in the present now. Do you think that he's relied on Greenwood hitting the floor running? Because we know he's come out and positively said he's one of the best finishers he's ever seen. But I do wonder, has he relied too much on him hitting the floor running? Because I look at their strike force. They got James, they got Martial, they got Rashford, and they've got Greenwood. That is, for a team that wants to be building and break into a top six. Yes, it's young, but has that got enough firepower?
No,
who in there is getting 20 goals a season? Where's your Aguero? Where's your Kane? Where's your Salah?
You can look.
You know what I mean?
Can look at the other, maybe with the exception of Chelsea, you can look at the other 4 teams, and you could say, yeah, he's getting 20 goals. Yeah, he's getting 20 goals. With United, I wouldn't even be surprised if none of them even hit 15 goals a season.
Who's hitting 15 goals? I mean, James is looking most likely, and the lad's been playing Championship football.
When you're relying...
And I watched a lot of Championship football, and every time I looked at Daniel James playing, I always thought he's got a lot of pace, but his finish... He reminded me of Adama Traore. A lot of pace,
no end product.
But no end product.
Yeah.
But I've got to give him all the credit in the world. He's coming to United and hit the ground running in front of goal, so fair play to him. But when Daniel James, who was a mid-table Championship player last year, is now your top bagsman, I mean, that's worrying, is it not?
I think, yeah, absolutely. You know, it probably wasn't Solskjaer's decision to go with them 4. He probably wanted someone to come back in and replace Lukaku. But United's defence was such a shambles that really... the most important thing is getting your defence right, because we've seen with Arsenal, it doesn't matter how good your attack is, if your defence is woeful, then you're not going to pick up the
Literally,
points.
I mean, you look at Liverpool before they got Van Dijk, they were good going forward, we know that, but their defence was absolutely shambles. They bought in Van Dijk and now they're European champions and unbeaten in the Prem and looking very likely, I think, to possibly win their first league title this year.
Yeah, hopefully not. But Woodward probably said to Solskjaer, you've got this much money to spend, and that's all I'm giving you. And Solskjaer probably thought, yeah, we need a new strike force, but that defence is such a shambles that we need to sort it out really quickly. And that's all he could do. He basically inherited a squad that wasn't good enough. I think Solskjaer, yeah, he should be given more time, but he's not the manager for the long term. And I also can understand why. If you are going to get rid of him in a year, there's no point in waiting a year. You might as well just get rid of him now.
I almost think with United as well, you're Solskjaer, you want leaders in that dressing room. Every big club at the top, they need leaders. I mean, Spurs, you look around, you got Vertonghen, Alderweireld, Lloris, Harry Kane, Sissoko, I guess. I mean, he's more of a senior figure. I know he's not the best, but you look at these clubs, there's leaders everywhere. I mean, Liverpool, Van Dijk absolutely sums up what a leader is, I think. Even Chelsea, there's some players in there, like your Rudigers, who is surrounded by Aspilicuetas. They're surrounded by youngsters. What I'm almost trying to say is, if you're a young player, you walk into a dressing room, you want to look at someone. I want to be like him in 10 years' time.
Yeah. Who are you looking at United?
Yeah, and here's the thing. This is the stat that absolutely bewilders me every time. Even looking at Chelsea, I mean, you've got the young players coming through, like Mount, Abraham, right?
Yeah.
Mason Mount comes through the team. He's got Ross Barkley in the same position. He's competing with a senior player like Ross Barkley and getting the better of him. Mm-hmm. That's what confidence does. So you got that side of having like an inspirational person in your team. If you can outplay them, that's one thing to get confidence up. And number two, you got to be looking and thinking, I want to be like you. I want to be better than you in 10 years' time.
And who is that senior?
I mean, I was thinking about this, and it's got Nemanja Matic is the best senior player they've got, and he's been crap.
Yeah.
And he was good at Chelsea. Don't get me wrong. I was surprised when Chelsea sold him, but when he, in the form he's in, is the one senior player, you kind of think, okay, well, maybe he's the best of a bad bunch out of the senior players. And I mean, Rashford, he's gone into his 5th season already.
That's crazy.
And that is crazy.
He's still not old enough yet, is he, to be a leader?
He's one of the most experienced in that United team. Yet nobody knows where he plays still. He's failing to hit the back of the net a substantial amount of times each season. What is happening with Rashford? Is he going to be another talent gone missing? I don't know. Southgate seems to rate him in England, but... And the worrying thing is for Rashford, I think, is that Solskjaer's finally a manager that's come in and thought, right, you're my main man. You're my number 9.
Yeah.
Mourinho didn't do that. He gave him his odd shot at number 9. Van Gaal started to, but Van Gaal's never going to stay on at United. No. I feel like this is his one. He's been given his one chance to be a number 9. If he just started the season done what Tammy Abraham's done, bagged that many goals, 7 goals I think it is already.
Yeah. Everybody's
thinking Rashford, right? He's finally found his role as a number 9 striker. He's going to be United's number 9 for the next few years. But that's not happened. But you go into that dressing room at United, who are you looking at? Who are you looking at that thinks, I want to be like you? Maguire must have come into that United dressing room, fucking hell, what's going on here? You know what I mean? 26 years old Maguire is. He's probably one of the most senior players, I guess.
Can we go back again to when Mourinho got sacked and they brought Solskjaer in? Do you know who wasn't managing anyone at the time? Zidane. So
you'd have taken Zidane. I worry about Zidane.
This is why. I will tell you this is why. United played so well under Solskjaer because they believed that Zidane was coming in.
What?
Mate, they did. You look at Pogba. You look at the way that Pogba played when Zidane was there. No, not Zidane. When Solskjaer was there as a caretaker manager, compared to when he was there as a permanent manager. It's like a completely different player. I think that United, the players, what's the term, like, pulled the wool from under his eyes?
Pulled the wool over his eyes.
Yeah, fucking had that one, yeah. They pulled the wool over his eyes. They basically maxed out, that they like put all their effort in for him as a caretaker, thinking that Zidane was going to come in and think, holy shit, these players are actually really good. Soon as he got the job full time, United were like, oh shit, can't really be asked for this anymore now. I think another reason is Pogba, massively. and I know that it's such a debated thing about whether Pogba, he's good for the team, is bad for a team. He cannot stay out the headlines, can he? As a manager, you can't have a player who is just that attractive towards the media and is a scapegoat for everything, and just brings really, I'd say he brings the harmony of the dressing room down. I think that if I was United manager, first thing I would do is get rid of Pogba before it's too late, because he's so influential.
He's made it obvious. His agents made it obvious as well that he wants out. He wants Madrid.
He is so influential in that dressing room that if he turns back on you,
this man's a World Cup winner.
Other players will.
This man's a World Cup winner as well. Let's not forget this. We're talking about people that get looked up to in the dressing room. You're a youngster, like Nathaniel Chong or whatever, or Joe Garner, some of United's top prospects coming through the academy. You're looking at those leaders we talk about. Pogba's got to be one of them. He's won a World Cup. The man literally played it wasn't like he got dragged along. He played an important role in their World Cup winning side.
He should be a leader, yeah.
He should be captain. He should be at this stage of his career. He's won a World Cup. He's one of the highest regarded midfielders in the world. He should be stepping up to the plate, sorting his attitude out and saying, I want the captain's role.
Yeah.
That's what he should be saying. But it's not what we're seeing. We're seeing a Pogba out of form. And it's sad because he gets a lot of shit in the media, but we know his potential. We know his potential. He showed it in the World Cup. When he's surrounded by the players who are going to put the effort in. Because when is a player going to put more effort in than when he's playing for his country in a World Cup? You're not going to see that more. So when Pogba's surrounded by players who are going to put that effort in, he can perform. And like some of the through balls you saw to Mbappe in that World Cup.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
I just honestly think that Pogba is... This is strong, but I genuinely think that he is a cancer in Man United that they need to get rid of quickly. I think that the attitude of him is all wrong. We've seen it happen before where they've been losing, drawn, whatever, and he's just joking around, having a laugh. Yeah, you want to see players doing that, but not when you're playing the way that United have been, where they've been useless, really.
Yeah, I agree.
I just think that Pogba needs to go. And then really you could build from there, because you can have characters that are too influential in the dressing room, and Pogba can change at the flip of a coin, can't he? And I just think managers really, if you're on Pogba's bad books, then you've got no chance. It's either him or you. And
we saw that Mourinho.
Yeah,
Woodward chose Pogba, which I don't think he should have done.
Yeah, I think
I would have literally, genuinely, I'd have said, if I'm Woodward, I'd have given Mourinho a blank checkbook and said, go out and you clear the squad. Go out there and build. Because I don't care. People say all this shit about Mourinho. Oh, he's old school. He's not a winner anymore. You give Mourinho the players he wants, like Chelsea did that second time, and he will win you the world.
He knows how to
He bought in. He got given a blank checkbook at Chelsea. He bought in. He knew how to use Hazard. He bought in Diego Costa, Willian, Pedro.
Yeah.
These players, he knew what he was doing. He's not stupid. You know what I mean? The bloke knows what he's doing. And the Chelsea players, especially the first spell, I mean, the man got Terry playing every single minute of the season at the age of, 32, 33? I mean, that's sensational. The players from that first spell and some of the older ones from the second spell, like Cech, Ivanovic, Terry, they regard Mourinho as an absolute god. They worship him. Like they used to say he had a Bible. They called it the Bible. It was the book of tactics, and he used to win them games. You know, like a tactic for each situation. If they were 2-1 down, 2-0 down, 2-0 down and getting pressed high, he'd have a tactic for each thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you trying to tell me this man's out of touch with the game?
Yeah.
You look at some of his punditry on Sky Sports, it's just unbelievable. Like
Woodward chose Pogba over Mourinho, and I think that he's regretting it now.
I agree. I completely agree. Anyway, moving on. We're going to be talking about a subject which relates to the place we're from, which is Worcester, and I'm sure the majority of people listening to this are from Worcester as well, but if you are, you'll know exactly what we're on about. And it's the situation with Worcester City in their football stadium. So I'm going to drop a bit of context in regards to the football stadium. So Worcester City, they were established Conference North side. They were your classic Sunday league side, playing each Saturday. You could go down with your mates, couple of quid, just enjoy your afternoon. It was in a local area where most people in the city could get to within 15 minutes in a car.
City centre.
You could cross the bridge. There's various bridges in the city that you could get from St John's into Perth as well. Or, I mean, they want to build it, but it's in like the north. It was in like the Norfolk area, by the Tythe and the ground. But either way, it was in a place where everybody could get to, I'd say, and everybody who has a football club in their city and goes, they know how important it is. Even if you support the likes of Spurs, United, Chelsea, having a local football club still means more in the sense that you can actually go watch them for a couple of quid and just with your mates. You're bored if you're a teenager one Saturday and you're bored, what's stopping you from just going, do you want to go down the city, watch the game? Like literally nothing.
We never got that chance, did we?
So in 2013, their ground, St George's Lane, which was a perfect size ground, had one stand with seats and the rest was all kind of like railing, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When they got the boards going around and you could watch them, and it was just class. It was a perfect little setup. But either way, these in St George's Lane, this was 2013. It got taken away. It got sold, and I think a lot of people banked on Worcester being able to bounce straight back and get a stadium in the city, but that didn't happen. First of all, we saw them go to Agborough in Kidderminster. We then saw them go to Bromsgrove.
Just Kidderminster is a really long way away.
Yeah.
From Worcester, as is Bromsgrove. You're not talking about 20 minutes down the road. It's good 45-minute drive.
So when the club was in the city, you'd get a good amount of people for the gates as well. It was a community thing. You'd see people that have been going to that place for years. I mean, City have had cup runs in recent years against the likes of Coventry City, Sheffield United, Worcester City, from somewhere. They'd know about the town Worcester, and they'd know about the city, like football club. But it just hasn't come back, and we're going to look at why. So the big plan for City recently is that they've gone fan owned. It's now fan owned by the community, which I think is the right decision. Lots of people disagree. The money is still an issue. There's no substantial amount of money going into the club. Reason being, who wants to sponsor Worcester City when they're not in Worcester? Which local businesses want to sponsor a club whose audience and target market are outside of that area? If you're a local tiling company in Worcester, why do you want people in Bromsgrove or Kiddie to be seeing your advertisements there? You know what I mean? So the money from advertisers is low. That's pretty obvious. It's not going to be like it was at St George's Lane, where people are actually going to see your company week in, week out, and they can walk down the road to go to your shop. You know what I mean? The money's going to be low in that aspect. Second of all, people through the gates. Right. When I went to do my work experience at Worcester City, I think we have 300, 200, something like that. That would have never happened at St George's Lane. Even how bad you were, because of how easily accessible it was. It was so, you know how many people would go for the gates. You'd have at least 500 per game, and that's a minimum as well. So getting people for the gates is, as people know, for the long league clubs is essential. That's how you get your money. And looking forward into the future, they want to bring the ground back to Perth as well. Perth as well is an area of Worcester where it's close enough, and the big argument has been the Green Party want to stop this from happening because they think it's going to affect the environment, they think it's going to cause noise pollution, all this kind of thing. Well, may I just say this to the Green Party? Why are you restricting a football community stadium that's going to be used? I've seen the plans, right? They want to give it to youngsters access, they want to give access to youngsters to good pitches, to floodlights. They have their youth pitches behind it. The youth are going to be directly involved with the football club. It's an accessible place for everybody to go to. It will bring economy to Perth as well. It will bring economy to the city from travelling fans. There's a lot of reasons why there should be a stadium built. And the Perth as well people argue that it will cause noise pollution. It will cause builds up of traffic. People won't be able to access the gym. Let me say this to you, Perth as well people in the Green Party. Why can you say that, and how can you say that when you've got a dump, you've got a tip, a landfill site on your doorstep?
Yeah. That's
all I think you need, and that's one of the big points that people have used. It's absolutely outrageous.
With the traffic pollution as well, all the youth teams that play at home play in Perth as well, so it's not as though it's going to be anything new.
Exactly, that's the thing. And look, basically the way I look at it, I think it's all gone political, and that's the worst thing that can happen with this kind of thing in football, because politics is power, and the Green Party know they've got a lot of voters in Perth as well. So if the Green Party go against the City Stadium idea, and the councillors go against the City Stadium idea, they know they're going to maintain those votes. Perth as well, and Claines, which is both nearby, are predominantly rich areas where lots of councillors live. Lots of councillors therefore back the ideas. Don't you find it funny how councillors have recently backed a £3 million hockey facility to be built in the city with links to RGS?
Hockey? Who plays hockey?
With links to RGS, the Royal Grammar School, which is a private school, but the council have happily accepted that, a hockey facility. Let's just have a look at the numbers. I mean, for the amount of people in the city and the country who play football compared to hockey. I'll tell you what, you get a lot more out of a football facility with floodlights than you would a hockey facility. But either way, anyone...
It's just a funny sport, isn't it?
Oh, it's just ridiculous. But anyway, Bring City Home is the hashtag that they're using. You can type it into Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and you'll see what the people are doing. There was a guy who came down from Newcastle, actually. He runs the Worcester City Geordie branch, believe it or not. And he has a banner. He had a banner up at a home game. I think it was 40 metres long. Covered the whole of the back stand saying, Bring City Home, sort out. And that's what I mean. It's all got political. Once you take the politics out of it, it's simple as, we want a football stadium in our city again. We've had one in our city for probably over 80 years, probably over 100 years. Worcester City has been around for a long, long time. We want a football stadium back in our city so we can go and enjoy it with our friends. We don't want to get political with it. That's the last thing we want to do.
No.
Councillors, if they want to keep their votes, keep the people happy. The Green Party, if you want to keep people happy, that's your job. Politics is about keeping people happy and doing the best thing for the country and the city. Do what's best. Bring City Home. But anyway, we're going to put there's a petition going around that we're going to put in the link in the description alongside the fund for Oscar. So if you click those, check out those two links. Obviously, if you just listen to this bit and you want to listen to the situation with Oscar Saxelby Lee, then just go to the start of the video and I've let a bit of context on that. But the final thing we're going to be talking about in episode 4 is the Cup, and in particular League Cup and FA Cup, and what could be done to rejuvenate them and get the love back for the Cup, which we haven't seen in many years.
Yeah.
And I'm going to hit straight in the deep end, right, and say, give the winner of the FA Cup the 4th Champions League spot.
Jesus, okay. I wouldn't go that far, to be honest.
Really? Can you imagine how much bigger the FA Cup would be? It'd be worshipped.
So what about the League Cup then?
The League Cup, the way I've never had that love for the League Cup. Growing up, I had that love for the FA Cup, which has faded.
But you can't do it for one and not the other.
Well, maybe you push the League Cup up and give it, I don't know, you give it what the FA Cup had. I mean, the Europa League spot.
But they both had. League Cup did have a Europa League spot.
I still give the FA Cup the Champions League.
I
don't care.
So you would genuinely give. You would say, fucking if Sheffield Wednesday won the FA Cup, then they'd go straight into the group stages of the Champions League.
No, they'd have to have qualifiers, obviously.
That's
but I'd give
crazy,
them the qualifying.
That is crazy.
Imagine the love and the fucking excitement for the FA Cup.
Yeah.
Can you imagine it?
Yeah,
It'd be a global event.
But that's in a perfect world. That is, and I don't, we can't push it that far.
Can't we though? Can't we?
I think no, we can't.
Why?
Because,
what's the limitations on that?
but you literally, because first of all, say a really crappy team won. Say Lincoln won the FA Cup, Champions League, they would get absolutely destroyed. You know, the coefficient of the English League would go down, so we would reduce the amount of Champions League spots we would have, therefore from 3 to 2, and then eventually from 2 to only the champion. We'd be on the same level as the Georgian League.
Nah, I ain't buying that. I ain't buying that in the slightest.
Hey, how? What? In what way?
Okay, what about this then? Winner of the FA Cup has a playoff against 4th place.
Yeah, to be fair, it's not a bad idea. But I just think
you need that excitement. The same old teams winning the FA Cup. The year Wigan won the FA Cup. The year Portsmouth won the FA Cup. Those were good years because it meant something to the people. It meant something. It showed that the FA Cup's still alive. But when you've got United winning it, when you've got Chelsea winning it, when you've got City winning it, it's just like it's same old. I think of FA Cup. I don't get excited anymore.
No.
I got the most excited in the last 3 years because I just wanted to draw a Premier League team. That was it. That was the only reason I got excited.
I think that this is the way that I would revive it. Is the Cup Winners' Cup?
Yes.
Bring that back. I would have it as the winner of the League Cup and the FA Cup go into a European tournament with the winners of the domestic cups of all the other leagues, straight knockout, one game, nothing two leg. If you go over and you're drawn against the Coppa Italia winner and you lose, you're out. It'd be like a cup format. So it wouldn't be like the Europa League where you're just getting exhausted from going out to Europe and playing all the time. The winner get a Champions League group stage spot. I think that's how I would do it, and that would make more sense for me because you're adding another team that's going to be in Europe. So obviously everyone wants to be in Europe. It wouldn't have the Europa League effect where your players are playing useless games. Everyone loves a knockout game, didn't they? Knockout football is so much more different to normal football.
Some teams do suit knockout football as well. We see it with Liverpool. But...
And clearly it'd be all the best teams that play knockout football because they're the cup winners. It would just make so much more sense for me.
But then the problem I see with that is, say City and Chelsea won the FA Cup and League Cup. Wouldn't it just be like a shit Champions League?
I don't think it would be. Because the Champions League, first of all, you got the group stages, which done out. You got the two legs, which done out. This would be different. This would be, if you don't score more goals than your opponent in 90 minutes, you're gone.
I mean, yeah, but they have to be played at a neutral ground as well, I guess.
No, it doesn't have to. The cups don't get played at neutral grounds. If you're drawn away, to some European team, you are going to that European team.
Yeah.
That's how I would
What
do
about... I think about the League Cup, and I do struggle because I always thought the League Cup. I never rated it as a kid. I never have rated it. I just feel like it's a trophy that you can win as a big team that's struggling to win trophies, and it's just an easy target, really. What I think could be done to rejuvenate the World Cup, put a limitation.
The World Cup?
The League Cup. One of the things I do think you could do to the League Cup is restrict the amount of... See that eliminate. Right. So you've got the Checkatrade Trophy, and Premier League teams are allowed to play their under-21s in the Checkatrade Trophy.
Yeah.
Therefore, make restrictions on how many young players you can play in the League Cup. Make your pros play in the League Cup, and if you really want to rest your pros, then they're gonna have to play. They're gonna have to be rested in the league.
No, you can't put restrictions on the team that the managers can put out. I don't think that'll work. I think.
Well, there's restrictions anyway with with English players. The amount of English players you've got to have in the squad. Surely that's a restriction. Couldn't you put further restrictions on?
That's everyone. That's for every competition. You can't have one rule for one competition and another for another. It's got to be, this is your squad for everything.
I don't see why. I struggle with the League Cup.
Why?
Because where's the appeal? What
the appeal is the fucking European Cup. You win
the
league. I don't see why you're disagreeing with my idea.
You win the League Cup. You just win a shit FA Cup.
But they're going to be equivalent. They're going to be exactly the same. Yeah, the FA Cup's got more history and people would rather win the FA Cup. The reward at the end of it is going to be the same way you get to go into that European Cup Winners' Cup.
But, alright, I just feel like if you win the League Cup, it's just like, it's all I see it as is you've won a trophy. Congrats. If you win the League Cup, you get a badge for you won a trophy recently.
But can you not see where I'm coming from here? Where that would reignite the magic of the cup. Teams would actually want to go out and think, shit, yeah, I actually do want to win
sometimes
this.
It can be a distraction. I know for a fact when Villa got to the final of the FA Cup, if they scrapped the rule the year before, that basically if you're in the FA Cup final and you'd have lost to the FA Cup final winner, obviously,
yeah,
but they'd have been in the Champions League or Europa League already, then you get the Europa League spot. I always thought in my head, it's a good job that rule got scrapped, because if Villa went into the Europa League that season, we'd have been absolutely fucked, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, if a smaller club is going to win the League Cup, because I think the smaller clubs have got more chance of winning the League Cup than anyone else.
But not with
Surely,
this, not with the European.
Yeah, but would you want, if you're a struggling team, do you want to be fucking jetting out to Europe? Or do you want to be focusing on the league?
For one game, yeah, not
it could
over
be
2
multiple
legs
games.
For one game, yeah,
it could be multiple games, couldn't it?
That's cup football. Nobody wants to go right away. It's pretty much.
But
the same.
right. So you're Watford right now, and you got to jet out to fucking AC Milan. Do you want to be doing that?
For one, teams do it. Wolves have got to do it 3 times.
And that's people, and you're seeing the implications on Wolves now with their Premier League position.
3 times, and they've also they started way earlier, didn't they? Whoever finishes 7th starts their season a lot earlier than the other team. So that's why Wolves are doing shit right now. It's commonly known as the Europa League effect, isn't it? This
happened
would
to
not
Burnley.
happen. This is why
happened to Burnley last season.
I thought about this, and this is why it's not going to happen, because it's one knockout game, 90 minutes. It's not a group stage where it's a distraction.
Oh, I don't know, mate. I don't know, mate.
I'm so certain that this is how to do it. This is the way.
I don't see how anybody would. If I'm the manager of a mid-table to bottom team,
Come in, by the way.
I don't want to be doing that.